Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2024. I'm Skratch. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and welcome to the Monday kickoff, guys. 2024 starts with a big bang. We do have everyone's favorite game mode starting tomorrow in 18 hours, to be more specific. Clan versus clan. This time around, we do have personal rewards, so more of you guys will be tempted to drop everything and try to collect the juicy rewards. Of course, we will have some crazy champions on the summoning events, guys. But we're going to go over that in just a second. Right here, we do have the regular PR rewards. I was expecting maybe to do something a bit more special, but seems like they are just the classic ones. You know what? I'll get them anyway. I won't complain about it. The regular rewards seem to be the same. We are getting speed gear and we're getting a piece of curse gear. Legendary, no mythical gear anymore. That's kind of like once in a while, twice a year, I would say, when they're actually improving the rewards on here. But either way, this looks pretty much the same. I'm not expecting to find out any crazy news this week, guys. The fusion came to an end. We're not going to have news for a new fusion this week. I'm pretty convinced. Most probably it will only happen next week or the week after. What I'm expecting to find out this week, guys, they've already teased a free legendary champion. Something big coming to Teleria. I've already made a video on it, kind of like covering it, brainstorming some ideas, because a lot of people in the community kind of like had all sorts of different ideas, and there are even more ideas out there. Hercules and God knows what other things might be involved with the upcoming free legendary champion, the 7-day login one. So I'm expecting to find some news about that champion this week, most probably. That being said, let's actually jump over to the champions that will be on the summoning pool. This Tuesday, January 2nd, we're planning to launch Progressive Chance event, giving you at least a 15x chance to summon the champions of your choice from the selected pool from Ancient, Primal, Sacred, and Void shards. Starting with my most wanted non-Void legendary champion in the entire game, and that is, of course, no one else but Ragos. Man, I would love to get this champion. I have no shards left, and probably even if I would have had some, I would have thrown whatever I would have had at the event. Maybe another time. Who knows? Maybe the clan boss will be generous and will give me a couple of sacreds tomorrow. Today it gave me none. So if that happens, I'm pretty close to maybe drop a legendary. I think I'm like 10 or 11 sacreds in with no legendary. Not like that means a lot. But either way, maybe I'm going to get lucky tomorrow. Who knows? Ragos, such a beast of a champion. Not only for Classic Arena, but for Live Arena. Not only for that, but he can be used in Hydra. He can be used in so much content. Super powerful for the City of Sintranos as well, for the Cursed City. Attacks one enemy 2 times, increase defense on the champion, AoE defense down, and a stun on the enemies. Very powerful skill right here. It deals a lot of damage. Then you have the A3, strengthen, increase speed, and a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns. So the increased speed, the strengthen can be nice for the Hydra. Then you have the AoE defense down, the damage that he's just bringing on top of it, which is very nice. You have the passive at the start of each turn, places a perfect veil buff for 1 turn on the ally with the highest attack. So it's kind of like, you know what? Why to take only 1 nuker in the team when you can take an attack nuker and a defense nuker, and this bad boy is gonna protect him as well, which is nice. Inflicts 20% more damage against targets whose defense is lower than this champion's defense. And most champions will be in that situation. Most people will build their support champions with very high HP, lower defense. You're gonna build Ragos with very high defense and crit damage, so pretty much will happen 99.99% of the time. And increases ally defense in all battles by 30%. Moving over to the next champion, guys. He was a past fusion, I feel like, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I think 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And that is Astrolon. Pretty strong champion, pretty nice champion. And he's not the best damage dealer or anything like that, but he does bring quite a bit of utility. The multipliers are very similar with Foley's, or kind of like that average sort of multipliers that most of the legendary nukers have. It's kind of like the average, I would say, because the ones that have higher multipliers are kind of like the meta champions usually, So this will be the average, a 4.0 multiplier for the legendary nukers. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times, has a chance to land the defense down. Now he is a partner with Countess Leaks, and they do tend to do a couple of interesting things when they are paired together, Then you have the A2, attacks an enemy, will ignore increased defense, strengthen, and ally protection buffs, and revives a random ally with 40% HP and a shield. if this attack kills an enemy, which is nice. You will get to kill some enemies with this champion if you build him properly, you know, and it's nice that you're going to be able to offer some support next to the damage. Then you have the A3, the AoE on a 4-turn cooldown, removes all buffs from targets under Veil or Perfect Veils. It was one of the very first counters that we had for champions like Duchess, Lily 2, and champions that buff with Veil or Perfect Veil. Then places a weaken on the enemies who have Veil or Perfect Veil buffs removed, then attacks all enemies, and has a chance to land a stun. Very, very good, you know, crowd control. He's very, very powerful as well for the Cursed City, you know, against some of the stages. The passive fills this champion's turn meter by 3% every time an ally is hit. Decreases incoming damage by 25% if the attacker's attack is lower than this champion's. Very powerful for faction wars, good for Doom Tower waves, good for some of the dungeons, good for arena. Overall, a well-built champion, I would say. You know, he has a very interesting kit and he's not trash. So that's a good thing to know. Then, of course, we will have a different hooker from the Orcs. He's actually pretty interesting, too situational and too demanding in my opinion. Robar, he actually is a lot of fun. The A1 attacks an enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn, grants an extra turn if this debuff is successfully placed. So if you're constantly landing the stun, you'll be getting extra turn, extra turn, extra turn. Just imagine putting him on a stun set as well, on something like that. He will just go crazy with the stun, or even Relentless, you know, like they pair so well. Then you have the A2 attacks all enemies. Each hit has a chance of landing defense down for 2 turns, and is 1 hit only, you know, but each hit against the enemies, I would assume that's kind of like what the skill is trying to say. Then you have the A3 attacks all enemies, damage increases if the target is under crowd control debuffs. That's where he really shines. If you have any debuffs on the enemies and it's a crowd control one, like a stun is the perfect thing to have, or something like that, the damage goes through the roof. He deals so much damage. He really hits very hard when this is on the enemy, you know. He looks pretty awesome as a champion, though. I wish he would have had more utility. This being too conditional is kind of like putting him on the bench, you know. Accuracy aura for faction creeps. Moving over to the next champion, guys, is actually Son Wukong. Now, he was a 7-day login champion. A lot of people got him for free. Most of the people that played got him for free, of course. And he rocks. He changed the meta quite a bit for Arena. A very strong counter against UDK, you know, is just generally a good champion. You can build him as a hybrid. You can build him as a damage dealer. You can build him as a support with high speed, high accuracy. He has a chance to stun with the A1. With the A2, will ignore defense, has surplus damage if you build him for damage. He has a chance to polymorph the enemy, which is very, very nice. And the A3 removes all buffs, steals all buffs actually, and puts block buffs on the enemies, you know. AoE, very, very good. The passive revives him whenever he gets killed after 3 turns with full turn meter and HP. Speed aura for arena battles. One of the best speed aura for arena battles is Astrolon that has 28%, and then we have a few more that have a higher speed aura, but other than that, he's at a very, very top. Definitely a solid champion. Then we have some void ones as well, guys. And if I'm not mistaken, Tram Maria, she is from the Dark Elves, a champion that I hope I will never ever summon. She does look amazing. She's not that bad. I just don't want her. Okay, she's actually interesting for some areas. Design-wise, she looks so cool. Like I love the design. She looks amazing. You have a AoE decreased speed, has a chance to place fear on enemies with a 20% or less turn meter. The A2 has a chance to land a stun. After attacking, has a chance of decreasing the turn meter if they don't have the stun landed. Then you have the A3, removes all debuffs from all enemies, fills their turn meter, fills the turn meter of each ally by a further 10% for every crowd control debuff removed, and fills the turn meter of each ally by a further 5% for any other debuff removed. The passive, she's immune to sleep. So she could potentially be interesting against Amias, you know, that's kind of like where she should shine. She has the cleanse, which will be nice, the turn meter, she has the decreased speed, she has the immune to sleep, which will make her pretty interesting in there, you know, especially when this faction is in a rotation. The only problem is you have Mitrala from this faction. So I feel like Mitrala, she's much better than her overall, so I don't really see myself using her against Amias over Mitrala. I'm not sure how many of you guys would actually do that, but I'm very, very curious. So let me know in the comments down below. How I mentioned, because of the immune to sleep thing, she can be a very niche and fun champion to try. I don't think she will do much on a very stacked account. For any other player out there that is looking to progress through the game, she's gonna be a powerhouse. You know, like the stun and everything that she does is gonna be massive. So overall, she's a pretty good champion. And you have a speed aura for all battles, 23%, which is again one of the best speed auras for all battles in the entire game. You know, Marichka has a 24%. You have Fushan with 24%, and I can't really remember what other champions have a good one. You know. Then we have Rhobone Spear, guys. Amazing, amazing champion. I'm using mine in the Sand Devil's Necropolis. She's just so, so good. Continuous heal with a basic skill. 2000 debuffs with an A2. Places a stun, HP burn, defense down, weaken, decrease attack, decrease crit rate on an enemy. Super, super awesome. You have a cleanse, block debuffs, a massive healing from the A3 on a 3-turn cooldown too. And you have the passive. When she receives the debuffs, she will transfer it to the attacker, you know. And that's actually a very good counter against Kymar for Arena. And she used to be the #1 counter against Kymar for Arena when she got released. But she quickly dropped out of the meta for Arena. And you have an aura for faction creeps only attack, which is 42%. Pretty big, you know. Then we have the epics, guys. We have a Husk. Amazing enemy max HP. You're probably familiar with him. Awesome for Hydra Clan Boss. Provoke on the A1. Big nuke right here. Awesome on Relentless. 100%. Then we have Armina. She's a very good champion to do some crowd control. Not the best, but she can work. This big mama, good for faction wars. Stun in there, defense down. Decreases the turn meter, and if they have the turn meter depleted, she will land a stun. Fills the champion's turn meter for every stun she lands. Then we have Andreia, a pretty interesting epic champion. I feel like she was really, really overhyped at the beginning. Everybody saying she's mini Nacret and all that nonsense. She's a good epic champion, but she's nowhere to be compared with a mini Nacret. Yes, she might have a similar passive, but it's completely different. There's nothing to keep alive a character like Nacret, and she shouldn't be compared to it. She does have her own place in the game. Yeah, you get ally protection on 2 turns on the ally with the lowest max HP. Will not be placed on this champion. Places a strengthen and an increased defense buff on the champion for 2 turns on herself, which is nice. This one right here attacks all enemies, has a chance to decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 2 turns, which is very, very good for a lot of content, and very interesting for Arena as well, because this will not get you polymorphed, you know, so it's definitely not a bad skill. And I'm not roasting the epic champion. I actually like the champion. I am using her as well, but I'm just saying, like, people were just overhyping her, comparing her with Nacret when they're so different, you know. Then you have this skill, attacks an enemy, has a chance to land a stun, and the stun can be placed for 2 turns. The A1 has a chance to land decreased crit damage on an enemy. So overall, she is a pretty good epic champion. I'm very curious to see how people rate her. I feel like the rating is accurate though. I was curious to see if people are flaming her in any content or anything like that. Pretty decent base stats as well for an epic champion. So if you don't have her, she will be pretty helpful. Faction wars, and might be helpful for secret rooms, for Cursed City, you know, so you can get quite a bit of value from her. Then we have Prondar. I think he is from the Ogrin tribes, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure anymore. Yes, he is. He's a decent champion, a provoker. Decrease speed on the A1 with a chance to land the stun if he counterattacks with a skill. Then AoE, 75% chance to land provoke, and an increased defense on the champion. And you have strengthen and continuous heal on all allies. On a 4-turn cooldown. He receives less damage when the enemies are provoked, and he has a chance to counterattack them. Defense aura for Doom Tower battles. He's not the best epic champion, not the best provoker, but he can get the job done if you need him. You know, faction wars, you might need him for more specific content. So overall, a pretty decent-ish epic champion. And we have a few more guys. On Wednesday, January 3rd, we will have a 1-slot legendary as well. I feel like, my god, the list is so big. We have Fushan, very nasty champion, good for clan boss teams, speed aura, defense down, double hit stun. This skill can go like a machine gun and repeat the hits almost to an unlimited amount as long as the chance procs. He can one-shot Amius, the new boss in the Cursed City, if he has a 6-star blessing, crushing rend. So he's an awesome champion. And we do have Nathril on the event too, guys, which is right here. I like Nathril a lot. I've always been a fan of Nathril. You have a decreased speed, you have stun, thermiter manipulation, triple hitter with Giant Slayer and poisons. He was actually pretty big for clan boss before, pretty big for wave control, so faction wars, Doom Tower waves, lots of content like this. He's actually gonna be the MVP. Was good for Fire Knight, and he's still good for the Fire Knight for progression, especially all the way up to stage 20, for example, you know. Very good. Then we have Samson the Smasher, and he is in the Skinwalkers, if I'm not mistaken. I'm missing the champion. He's actually a decent-ish HP-based nuker. I wish he would have had slightly better multipliers to be one of the top ones, but when you're comparing him with champions like Taras or stuff like that, he's kind of like falling off a lot, you know. Attacks an enemy 2 times, has a chance to land a stun. You have an AoE attack right here, which removes all increased defense from the enemies before attacking. That can be nice, and places an extra hit if the attack kills an enemy. So if you kill somebody, this skill is very useful, you know, 100%. I wish this would not be conditional and it would place the extra hit. That would make the champion so much better. Increase accuracy and increase crit damage on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. I feel like an increased crit rate would have been nice in here too, you know, to kind of like make him easier to build. The passive decreases the damage this champion receives from critical hits, counterattacks when hit with a critical hit, which is nice because most of the nukers will hit him with a critical hit. The only problem is if he will survive, you know. And you have a defense aura for all battles, which I find very odd. Why not HP for an HP nuker, you know, to kind of like increase his damage a bit? I guess they wanted to increase a bit his survivability, which is not bad either. I love the design on the champion. And then we have Bigun, one of my very first legendary champion. Absolute game changer on my account. Like, he was so damn good. He's not as powerful anymore. He got power crept by so many legendary champions, but man, when I got him, he completely changed my account. He was one of the best champions in the game at that moment, actually. Attacks an enemy. This can become an AoE if he crits with the first hit. AoE attack, a chance to land stun and decrease accuracy. AoE attack, hits the enemies twice, decreases the thermometer and places decreased speed. And you have accuracy aura for dungeons. 90 accuracy, guys. Very nasty. I've actually summoned one recently. I think I managed to make mine to +4 now. I have a +4 Bigun after 5 years, you know? Interesting. But Bigun, he's actually pretty decent. Then we have Tosia, and she is from the Skinwalkers. Man, Tosia used to rock on the spider before the new difficulty came out. She dropped quite a bit on the new difficulty on hard mode, but either way, she's still an awesome champion. She's very good for Hydra clan boss as well. I feel like a lot of people don't really give her a lot of value there. I feel like she overall hits pretty hard. She has this unique skill where the more HP burn you have on enemies, the higher the damage. Attacks a single enemy. You have a chance to decrease the thermometer too. So the damage can go crazy with this skill, which is very good, you know. Then you have AoE attack with a chance to land HP burn or a stun, or even a decreased speed. A single hit with a chance to land defense down. And you have a passive. Whenever an ally receives a freeze debuff, the 50% has a 50% chance of replacing it with the HP burn instead. And this cannot be blocked or removed. Whenever an ally or an enemy is under HP burn debuff, this champion is immune to stun and other crowd control debuffs, you know, which makes her pretty nice. I'm actually a fan of Tosia. I'm not really using her anywhere at the moment, I'll be honest, but I need to give her another go in Hydra just for fun, you know. And we have one of my more favorite Void legendaries who was very powerful for Arena, Solas, and he's still amazing. The A1 has a chance to land a stun. The A2 attacks 3 times at random with a chance to provoke and remove all buffs from the enemy. And the A3 AoE on a 4-turn cooldown. Places provoke, deals tons of damage. The more debuffs on the enemy, the more damage. and he places a massive shield on himself. This makes him great for Hydra as well, guys, as the provoke champion, as the mischief target. So he can put in some serious work, serious damage too, next to all these things for Hydra. And at the same time, having 2 skills to land the provoke is massive against the Head of Decay, and very good for Arena too. Defense aura for faction creeps. That's kind of like the only downside of Solas. And then we have a few more awesome epic champions. The void ones are still the same, guys. We still have Andreia and Prondar. They won't change. But the non-void epics will actually change. And we have Burangiri as the first epic champion. Non-void, of course. And Burangiri can solo the Bommel. He's great for faction wars, great for secret rooms, great for some crowd control on waves, because he has a provoke on the A1. A small chance, but still is something to work with. Then you have a chance to land the stun, AoE. Then you put a strengthen and a shield on your team. This passive is very similar with Lady Annabelle's passive. That's what makes these two champions able to solo the Bommel. Heals this champion by 50% of their max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. And you have resistance aura in all battles. 40, pretty decent for an epic. And we have Magna, because we were talking about him. Magna still the best HP epic damage dealer in the game. Attacks all enemies, and he will repeat the hit if they don't have any HP burn on themselves, you know. And that is actually very, very powerful. If they have a HP burn, he will have a chance to land the stun too, which is interesting because that will help you a bit to control the enemies better in the spider. This skill really hits hard. If this was a legendary champion, to be able to empower him as well, he would have been at the top of the meta together with Taras, you know. Single hit right here, debuff spread, only spreading debuffs on enemies with under HP burn, so keep that in mind. The A1 has a chance to land defense down, which is pretty good. And the passive, this champion heals by 1% of their max HP every time anyone in the battle takes damage from an HP burn debuff. And you have a defense aura for Doom Tower battles. These are all the crazy champions that we are getting on the 15x progressive, 25x chance for this CvC. 2024 definitely starts with a bang, starts strong with some awesome champions. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys are tempted to summon for any of them. And even if you don't want to summon, which one of these champions is your most wanted? Let me know in the comments down below. Appreciate every single one of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.